Hello and welcome back to my allotment. It's nearing the end of February now, and what a month it's been. I mean, I know us Brits have a bit of a reputation, a bit of a stereotype for being obsessed with the weather and that it's always really grey and cloudy over here. And quite rightly so, we really are that obsessed with the weather. We talk about it a lot. I talk about it at the beginning of all my plot tours because, well, it's obviously relevant when you've got an allotment. But this month has been pretty crazy. So we've had 2 storms in the last fortnight. Storm Sierra, she visited us about 2 weeks ago and brought with her 65-mile-an-hour winds to Nottingham. I mean, Nottingham, if you're not familiar with it, it's slap bang in the middle of the country. It's one of the furthest points from the coast. And, well, it was really windy. And I've not known it to be this windy before, ever. So, yeah, we took a bit of a battering and there was so much rain and loads of places are affected with flooding around the River Trent and all around the country. And, you know, I'd checked the plot and it was okay, and I thought, phew, you know, escaped any damage, the polytunnel's fine, the shed's fine. But then came along Storm Dennis, didn't he? So then we had another dose of the storm, not quite as severe. And another week later it's still quite windy today and we've had a lot more rain. So I'm really sorry if you've been affected by all the flooding. It's just been absolutely torrential all winter, and I feel like this is how our winters are going to be now. We've had barely any frosts at all. We did have some snow in Derby last week after the storm. That was a bit random. But otherwise, you know, winters are definitely getting milder and wetter, which means I haven't had time to do too much on the plot. But actually, when I look around, I have actually done quite a bit. I'll show you in a bit later, but this might be more of a vloggy one because it's really still quite windy out there and the sound probably isn't going to be very good despite having my microphone. But I've got a load of new sandstone rocks to play with a rockery. I've started work over there. I've done a bit of shopping, so I'll talk about what I've bought. We'll have a look in the polytunnel, maybe sow some seeds if there's time, and I'll talk about how I'm storing my seeds and also show you some coffee grounds that I've just picked up from town. First of all, by the way, I just want to say thank you so much for watching January's video. I appreciate that January in the UK is pretty dull. There's not a lot going on. There's not really that much growing. There's certainly not many flowers, but still so many of you watch the vlog anyway, and I really appreciate that because, you know, sometimes you make them and you think, oh, nobody's going to care or be that interested in what's going on in the winter months. But lo and behold, there you guys are showing up, watching, commenting, and it's really quite nice, so thank you. So yeah, my plot did escape both storms with very little damage. Polytunnel and the shed are still fine. I did have a bit of a tree come down, I'll show you that a bit later. But due to the position of my plot, we're on the top of a hill here, and there's that gradual slope downwards. And I'm here in a southerly position, and there's a big tree over there, and that actually blocks the majority of the wind that comes straight up my plot. So thankfully that tree sort of takes the brunt of all the force from the wind, so I'm quite well protected here, especially with all the hedges as well, so thankfully I'm alright. I went into the city centre this morning, which isn't something I do very often, and I went through the big sort of shopping centre, the Victoria Centre, and I saw a little stall that I hadn't seen before, like a little market, little cart, and I saw all these signs about coffee for free and free compost, and I was like, what's going on here? And they're actually collecting all of the coffee grounds, the used coffee grounds from all the cafes that are in the centre, and then they're bagging it up and giving it to, you know, us gardeners for free so that we can use it in our compost bins. So yeah, from coffee to compost, I picked up this bag. We're giving away these coffee grounds packed full of nitrogen and nutrients to help your garden grow. Just work them into the soil to improve drainage and water retention. Your plants will look blooming lovely in no time. Now, I wouldn't actually put coffee grounds directly onto my flowers, it can change the pH and make it quite acidic. So this is going to be great for mulching my blueberries because they like that acidity, but otherwise it's good for putting into your compost bin to up the nutrients, especially nitrogen. So this works as like a green. So in the middle of winter, when we don't actually have much green waste to put into our compost bins, you know, we don't have any grass clippings or things like that, then this is going to be great for heating it up, getting it going and packing it with lots of nitrogen. And then put it back into a coffee bag. So that's brilliant. Really chuffed with that. I'm going to start putting this into my compost bin, and as I said, I'm going to mulch my blueberries with it as well. So if you happen to be in Nottingham and you want some of this, go into the Victoria Centre. It's on the ground floor outside WH Smith's, and I hope it's something they're going to continue to do because I think it's a great way of reducing waste, recycling and giving back to us gardeners. It was before Christmas that I did a little bit of shopping, or perhaps it was before New Year. Anyway, Farmer Gracie, who sell a load of bulbs and things in the Netherlands, I actually bought some things from them. And they don't dispatch until it's ready, so I received them today actually. And I kind of forgot all about them. But they're caladiums, and it's like a foliage plant. I know some people grow them indoors, and they're okay outside, but you have to bring them in for the winter because they're not winter hardy. And yeah, I bought some of these, so I thought I'd show you what I've got. And I have to plant these up in spring, and then I'll transplant them into the shady seating area of my allotment where they should hopefully be quite happy, but it's something new that I've not grown before, so it's quite exciting. So this one's called Calendalium Aran, and I know I bought a couple of these. This is the white and green. It's like a really frosted bright white colour, so I think that's really going to help to brighten up the seating area where it's quite dark and shady. There's a lot of ivy, so this will really pop against that dark colour. Calendalium, a white queen. I have to put a picture up because I can't remember what it looks like. Another Aran. Another Aran. Spring Fling. Now I know there's some of them that have this pink tinge to them, and at the time I thought they were really different and unusual. Hopefully they're not going to be too garish. We'll have to see. Oh, I forgot about this. I bought a canna. Now, cannas are quite tropical looking plants. They do like hot weather, and I've not grown one before. I don't really have many tropical plants. I've got a friend from college, David. He is obsessed with cannas, dahlias, tropical big leaf plants for his garden, and I really appreciate it. I'd love to sort of visit places like that, but for my allotment it's not really ideal. So I thought I'd buy a canna and see how I get on with this. And I remember this is like a white and green variegated sort of foliage, and I think it has an orange flower. I can't quite remember, but it's my first time growing all of these, so if you have any tips and advice, please put it in the comments because I'm going to have to do my own research. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't sown much yet, by the way. I've got so many chilies though at home. So many chilies. I sowed some in the heated propagator, and after a couple of weeks they didn't really appear, and I thought, oh god, what if they're not going to get any chilies? So I re-sowed them, but I didn't throw the old ones out, and lo and behold, they've all popped up now. So I've got about 50 plants at home. Maybe I'll do a separate video to show my setup, but I've got a lot of new varieties. Really excited to grow a lot of different chilies this year. Hopefully we'll have a warm summer to actually you know, get them really going and improve that flavour. The summer we had in 2018 was just great for that. But otherwise, all I've sown so far are my sweet peas, some lettuce as trial for my soil blocks, a few basil again for the soil blocking practice, chilies, and that's about it. That's about it. No more seeds. I won't start my tomatoes until March. Last year, tomatoes. Last year I sowed them in February and it was just too early. And even though they'll grow, and I had my grow lights, the trouble is they get quite big, and when you've got other plants as well, like all my chilli plants, you run out of room and then they sort of start getting weaker, they don't get enough sunlight, and sometimes it's better just to wait. You know, it's really difficult to sort of hold back at this time of the year when it's dark and grey and miserable, and we just want to be doing any type of gardening. So we sow seeds, but the trouble with sowing them too early is they just end up as being weak plants, and you know, by the time you plant them out, you might as well have just started a bit later, and the other ones will, you know, they soon catch up. So I'm not going to sow mine until maybe the 1st or 2nd week of March in the heated propagator at home. You've always got to think about your last frost date, and ours is like the last week in April, and count sort of like 6 weeks back from that, or 4 weeks back, however long you want them indoors for. And that's how you do it, really. You can't just sort of think, oh well, the seed packet says I can sow them now, so I will, because that's sadly not always the case. Speaking of seeds, I thought I'd show you how I'm storing mine, because I've changed things up this year. Well, I change it up every year, and to start with, you know, I was using a cardboard box, and if you keep your seeds in your shed or your greenhouse, which you really shouldn't, by the way, don't do it in a cardboard box, because a mouse will get in and eat them all. Then I went to my big metal bread bin, which is down there. It's like a vintage big bread bin that's metal, so the metal will stop any rodents from getting in, but it didn't have any sort of, you know, organisation. I couldn't see what was in there. It was just a big old mixed pile of seeds, until I saw somebody on Instagram. I think I remember it was Denicat. I'll put their name down here because I can't remember it right now. And this is a craft box or photo storage box, and yes, it is plastic. It's the elephant in the room, isn't it? It's plastic. We're not meant to be buying plastic, we're meant to be reducing our plastic waste and consumption, and I agree with that. I am trying to do my bit, so please don't give me any flack. But the benefits of this is that it's light, it's portable, it's rodent proof to some extent. I mean, a really hungry rat might be able to chew through it, but you know, it's not really going to be able to get in. And it's organised. So what happens is I open up the lid, bring it down, and I've got all these different little cases for my different seeds, and I've got them all labelled up so you can see what's in them. And already I'm feeling the benefits from it, because I see the seeds I want, I get them so quickly, and you can open it up and there's my seeds. It's brilliant. But I think everyone can have their own system, their own way that works for them. You know, if you can just use like a box, then that's great, but for me, I need something that, you know, I'll sow seeds here, I'll sow seeds at home, and sometimes I'll sow them at work as well. So it really had to be quite portable. And, you know, this is working for me. Whereas last year, there were things that I just didn't even sow because I forgot about them and I couldn't see them. I didn't even know they were in the box. So I'm feeling much more organised now that I've got it in this sort of system. And I'm going to look after this and keep it out of the sunlight so that the plastic doesn't perish, and just take really good care of it. Hopefully it'll last me for many years. And yeah, I just thought I'd sort of show you how I'm doing things this year. Oh man, it's so windy. Well, I think it's time I stopped chatting, put my coat on, and we took a little tour around the allotment to see what's going on in February. Let's have a look then, see what's going on. Well, as you can see, well, you might not be able to remember, there used to be a little tree here similar to the ones behind my shed, and I just came up to the plot today and noticed that it's disappeared, and it's actually the wind's blown it down to the bottom of the other plot. So I'll show you that when we get down there. But I was thinking about cutting it back anyway, and I've got a nicer view now over to Nottingham city centre, which is just over there. So it's actually done me a little favour, that has, so thank you, Dennis. The shrubs by the entrance of my gate The leaves are now bursting open from all their buds. And over at the wildlife pond, I had a little bit of a tidy the other week. I removed some of the leaves that had fallen into the pond just to make it a little bit more clean and healthy and more inviting for any frogs, because now is the time of the year that the frogs are mating and I might have some frog spawn appear. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I might get some frog spawn this year, we'll see. I did actually see Big Mama. I don't know if it is actually a female frog, but it's a really big frog that I have that lives in this pond, or visits it anyway. And I did see her the other week, so hopefully I'll have some frog spawn. Oh look, the little primroses that I planted here last year are just coming into bloom now. And over in the border by the gate, I've also got some lovely primroses that have appeared. And lots of little miniature daffodils have appeared. And they are such a welcome sight on this dreary day. I've still got quite a bit of tidying up to do. I've got a pile of cuttings there that I've just put because that's a nice open space. Strawberries I've started to tidy. I've started on this patch here first. And here is where the dead blackcurrant was, which I've actually removed now. So that's some space that's ready for planting. And I've also got down here some strawberry runners that I'm going to transplant into the community garden that I'm sort of doing at home in the courtyard, the community courtyard. So we'll have some strawberries there. Over in my bird bath feature, well, things are coming back to life. We've got some sedums in here and it's just nice to see this coming back again. This was a bird bath that I bought second hand, but it had a crack in the bottom, so it doesn't actually hold water, it drains. So I've used it to have some flowers in instead. As you can see, it's still really quite windy. How's that for some colour? My early rhubarb is looking really good. Those pink stems are looking so delicious already. Can already taste the crumble. And my apple tree is looking good after its winter prune. And look, I've even got some daffodils down there at the back. So soon this area, this corner here, is going to be invisible. You're not going to see any of that ground, it's just going to be completely covered in rhubarb leaves. But I've still got a few more hellebores. Let's have a close look at those. I know I showed you last month, but I mean, come on. You cannot get bored of hellebores. It's so beautiful. And there's the soft pink one as well. Oh, it's beautiful. There's that little mix of lime and soft pink and a bit of cream yellow in there. Wow. One thing you can do with these is pinch them off underneath the stem and actually float them in water. Because unfortunately these flowers, they are pointing down at the ground most of the time, so you don't get to see inside them, but you can deadhead them, or should I say just snip the flower off, and then get a nice decorative bowl, fill it with water, put it inside your house or by the front door, and then float these on the top, and they'll last for a good week or so. I've done it before at work and it's really effective and it's really quite beautiful, especially if you have a mix of different pinks and purple or white tones all together. Hey look, it's a baby lupin in the wildlife corner with a nice big drop of water in there, look. I do love my lupins and the bees do too. And this area gets really full of lupins in the spring. Cannot wait to see them again. We got some brave daffodils. Wow, look at you coming out in February in all these storms. Still standing strong. Oh, that yellow. It's just so cheerful. I'm tempted to pick these and take them home, but there's only a couple. I think I'm going to leave them here. A couple of weeks ago I did actually remove some of the brambles and tidied up this area a little bit, but I've just spotted there's a big bramble there that I haven't done yet, so just a few more to get rid of, and then this is all ready for all of the forget-me-nots and flowers to come in spring. So here's the view from the bottom of the plot. As you can see, I've got a lot of stones over there. I've got a new selfie stick thing, so hopefully this will make filming a little bit easier when I want to be in the shot at the same time. But I thought I'd show you over here, got the wind, how this area is getting on. So as you can see, I've got lots of planks of wood over here. That's for building some raised beds, hopefully in the coming weeks. And the idea is that in front of the carrot bed, I'm going to have 2 raised beds there. There'll be 4 cut flowers. I really want to grow lots of straw flowers, some amaranth, lots of things for drying and decorating with as well. So I'm going to have 2 beds there. I'm going to have another bed over here where the compost bin is, because that's going to be moved all the way into the corner. Let me go show you. And I've got this archway to build. That's going to go probably about here. And right at the back, I've actually got a bit of a workout ahead of me. These stumps down here are actually hazel, and they're really useful for the plot because I cut them back each year and use the sticks for, you know, climbing beans and peas and sweet peas, that kind of thing. But they're in the wrong place now and I need to sort of dig them up and move them, but it's going to be a pretty big job, so I've only started that one. As you can see, they are pretty big. So at the back of my plot, this is where the tree's gone over, and this is why you shouldn't let ivy climb up trees, because it makes them like big sails, and so the wind has taken it all the way down there. But it was a dead tree anyway, and it wasn't really benefiting me. It made a bit of a hedge for the birds, but there's still plenty more of that down there in my messy area where I need to tidy all those pots. So I can actually see over to the orchard, which is actually owned by the allotment site, and right over down into the city. I'm going to move my compost bin into this corner here, which is underneath my bird box, and make this much more productive space. As you might be able to tell, I've moved my bench for my seating area, and that's now underneath the bird box. I've decided to keep it, you know, right into the corner so I can make more use of this space around here. I still need to move the galvanised tank, but I bought a new one. Let me show you. So I already owned one water tank, and now I've gone and bought another one. It's only about 1.5 feet across, maybe 1 foot deep, but this one doesn't have a drainage hole in the bottom. So I'm thinking, what if I actually made this into a bit of a water feature? But it's not something I've done before, so I'm not quite sure where to start with that, but somebody has offered to give me a bit of advice, so not sure what's going to happen with that, but I'm quite looking forward to it. So yes, my bench now sits right here in the corner, and look what's coming. The crocus and muscari bulbs are poking through. I've got the chicken wire there to protect it from the mice, and I can't wait to see them blooming. So it's going to be a little bit more of a cozy space, I think, up here, and great for, you know, doing my vlogs in the summertime. Down in this pot I've also got some tulip bulbs in there that are just coming through, and there's a layer of chicken wire in the middle to protect them, stop them being eaten. So I quite like that I've moved this, and I'm going to have fun with my pots, you know, when these are now blooming. I'm going to change this around a little bit, and then over this side I'm going to have a long bed across here. I've already got a clematis there and a honeysuckle, so I need to build a trellis, and this will then cover the compost bin, which is going over there. So that's the plan. Lots of digging, building still ahead of me before this area is completely transformed. So this is the other water tank that I've actually planted up already. It's got lots of bulbs in there, and the bulbs are just coming through as well. Down the side of my shed, do you remember I planted this new raised bed with lots of bulbs that I've protected with chicken wire and filled with flowers? Well, look, all of the bulbs are now coming up. They've not been eaten so far, so hopefully we'll get a really nice display here in a couple of months. In terms of all the beds, I'm not really going to go over it because you know the story. It's the same as last month really. Still got a few more leeks left. But over on this side, I do have a few more daffodils in bloom. Now let's go up there and see what's going on with all these rocks. So I already have this raised bed that I made for my dahlias with these rocks. I think I did that in 2018, and I've just got a load more. What am I going to do with them? Well, I haven't quite decided. I'm probably going to build some more raised beds in a similar style right next to it, or where this wheelbarrow is that's behind me, because I don't really like that wheelbarrow so much. It's not got a lot in it, and you know, this area gets really hot in the summer. It's really sunny, but it's on quite a slope, so it might not retain the water for very long. So I'm going to raise the ground up, fill those rocks in a similar way to what I've done with the dahlia border, and we'll see. Just make use of the space that's up here that I don't really use, because underneath is what used to be a well, and I said I'll show you sometime. I'm not going to go there now because it's quite scary, but I have an ancient well that's underneath this area, but over the years the previous allotment tenants have just filled it with glass. So obviously if a greenhouse breaks, or if they want to get rid of a load of glass, they've just shoved it down in this pit. So I don't want to be digging in the area where this big pit of glass is in this well. So hence why I've raised it up, and that's my next project. I need to sort of arrange these in some sort of fashion and build a new raised bed area, so that's quite exciting. What do you think I should grow here? And all those raised beds will be around here, next to the polytunnel, which we'll go into next. Oh no, oh no, oh no, no, no. My sweet peas, my soil blocks. Okay, I've got a mouse problem, or something has got in here. What? Oh my god, it's even had a go at the shallots. Oh man. Oh, what the hell. Okay, well, I guess they haven't got to my tulips yet, but I might not have any sweet peas anymore. That's really annoying. Oh yeah, I sowed some broad beans in here the other week, but they've now gone. My toilet roll tubes with sweet peas have been decimated, and even my little autumn sown ones, he's nibbled the tops off. I don't know if that's going to regrow. I'll just put my shallots back. Why did it even have a go at these? I mean, it's got some good roots on at least, but why go digging up my shallots? And my random garlic. So I started some more garlic off because I bought them at potato. Can you hear that? Is it actually an ice cream van out at the end of February? Good to be optimistic about your business, I guess, but he's always bombing my videos. Absolutely nothing left of my sweet peas or my broad beans. Never mind, there's still time to sow some sweet peas. Something that is doing well though, my soil blocks that I've had at home. These are my lettuce seedlings that I sowed not long after Christmas and New Year. So they're a good month old now, and they're desperate to be planted out into a pot or into the ground. The variety of this one is called Lola Rosso. So I don't think this one's actually winter hardy, so it won't survive a bit of a frost. But I'm really impressed with how well they're doing. I'm really enjoying the soil blocking experiment. I'm still trialing different mixes and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm enjoying the soil blocking. Well, my battery's close to dying now and it's beginning to get dark. But here is how my plot is looking towards the end of February in 2020. Well, it's nice to come back in and out from that wind. Hopefully next month I will have a lot more done. I've got some time off in March, so I'm hoping to get lots of raised beds built. I'm going to sort out all of those rocks that are at the top of the allotment. And March is one of the busy months for sowing seeds. So I'll have a lot more going on in the polytunnel. Hopefully it's not going to get eaten by mice. Next week I'm actually going to a lecture that I'm really looking forward to, and it's being hosted by Nottingham Organic Gardeners, and that's like a society that I'm part of, and the talk is being run by Nick Bailey, and he is a presenter of BBC Gardener's World. You might have seen him on there, and he's also a gardener and garden designer, and the talk is going to be all about exotic edibles. And I'm so excited because it's not something I really do much of here on the allotment. I don't even grow citrus plants, so I'm really excited to go to that. My recommendation this month is that you go on your podcast app and find the Veg Grower podcast. That's Richard, and he has a brilliant podcast all about his allotment. So if you enjoy this kind of allotment diary style, then you'll really like what he does. So he has a potting shed and he keeps quails, and yeah, he talks about how his allotment is doing. He tries different experiments with his seed sowing and interviews a lot of interesting people at talks and shows as a guest on his podcast. So I really do recommend you check out the Veg Grower podcast and take a listen. You can also find him on Instagram and all the social medias, so please go on and follow him. Well, I think it's about time I wrapped it up for this one, so thank you very much for joining me. I really hope that as we go into March the weather's going to get a bit more settled, a little bit warmer, and hopefully we'll see some of that sunshine that we've not seen for like the last month. So thank you very much for watching, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments how you're getting on, how your plot's doing. I really hope you're not flooded. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode real soon.